Hello everybody, this is TipTop MTG here today with another Magic the Gathering video. In today's video, I'm going to be talking about the next upcoming standard set, Core Set 2021. Now, the last set we had was Ikoria, and it was kind of a disaster when you look at it from a mechanics perspective. It was a little too complicated. I think the Godzilla cards were a little too controversial, and so overall, I'm actually kind of looking forward to Core Set 2021, which is a little different than normal because, hey, it's a core set, it's not going to be as interesting. It's going to be the exact opposite of Ikoria. There is not going to be this brand new, huge mechanic that has lots of rules questions. It's going to be pretty simple. At least that's how it's been historically. And so I thought it'd be interesting to give you my predictions on what is going to happen in Core Set 2021. Now, these are kind of just not in any order, and they're kind of just me throwing ideas at a wall and being like, yeah, I think that could legitimately happen. Some of these have evidence, some of them are just kind of gut feelings I have, so don't take these as oh, there's evidence behind all of these. But yeah, so starting off, I want to talk about the Planeswalker decks, and even that, it's more than the Planeswalker decks, it's the Planeswalkers that will show up in the set. In Core Set 2020, there was a theme around Chandra, and we still got a bunch of other Planeswalkers. In Core Set 2021, there's a theme around Teferi, and recently we learned that there will be 5 Planeswalker decks, which makes me think that there is going to be 5 Planeswalkers. Now, Teferi is multicolored, Chandra was monocolored, so it worked better with Chandra now. They could do a bunch of multicolored Planeswalkers, which I think would be pretty cool if they did a Teferi and then maybe they did all the allied colors or something along that line. But I think what they're going to do is that, at least for the Planeswalker decks, they're going to make them all monocolored, and I think the Planeswalkers are going to be Teo in the white one, Teferi as a mono blue Planeswalker, Sorin as black, Jaya as red, and green, or Nissa as green. So again, these are kind of just randomly throwing things out, but some of them do have logic. I mean, Teferi's the theme of the set, so I think he's definitely going to be in a Planeswalker deck. Now, I think it could be cool if they did 2-color Planeswalker decks, especially if they're starting to phase Planeswalker decks out of other sets. It might make sense that they're allowing the Planeswalker decks to be a little better, because generally they're monocolored. They're not as, no Planeswalker deck is good, but because they're monocolored, they don't have as much to do. But if they're phasing them out of other sets, maybe you can put multicolored ones in there. So if they do multicolored, then these are obviously wrong, but I think that Teferi being blue makes a lot of sense. I think that they're gonna rotate some of them. Unfortunately, I don't think they're gonna do Chandra, because I don't think they want Chandra there to be 17 cards of her in standard, so I think Jaya is a good bet there. Sorin in black, I think that they already changed the black one, so why would they change it again? I don't think they're going to do Vivian for the green deck again, because we just had Vivian in Ikoria. And then white, they could do a Johnny, but it's been a Johnny every time, so I think they might switch that up and do something like Teo, who's only had one card that's been kind of underwhelming. So yeah, that's who I think could be the Planeswalkers. Now, of course, they could also do multicolor, which is my other kind of prediction with that. Now, I think there's going to be a sub-theme of drawing cards. This has been kind of in the last couple sets as well, but I think that Teferi and or other cards are going to care about when you draw a card, when you draw your second card, when you draw a card on an opponent's turn, something along those lines, and that's going to be a major draft theme. I think there'll be a total of 4 Teferis, and then Teferi will have a mono blue version in the Planeswalker deck. I think that we're going to see, obviously, a mythic, a rare, and an uncommon. Some of them, they're probably going to be pretty busted, but I think Core Set 2021 will end up being delayed in paper, or it will just end up being hey, just we're releasing it. Whether you get it or not is up to you. This whole COVID-19 situation really complicates things, and I don't know if Core Set 2021 is going to be delayed because stores can't sell it, or if I just feel in the creation or the production of the product, it'll end up getting delayed somewhere in there. But I think the opposite, MTG Arena, that will not end up getting delayed. Then the showcase cards are going to be based around Teferi themed cards. Now, we learned that there are going to be collector boosters in Core Set 2021, which I thought was really surprising. I thought they'd take that as maybe a little break from collector boosters, especially saying that, we saw them introduced with Throne of Eldraine last year, but we have never seen them in a core set. Now, normally they're based around a mechanic. In Eldraine, it was based around anything with the adventure mechanic. In Theros, it was all the gods and demigods, and in Ikoria, it was all the creatures with mutate. But if Core Set 2021 does not have a theme, I think they're going to be based around Teferi cards, or, which this leads me perfectly into my next prediction, I think there's going to be a creature type similar to Elementals that is like at the forefront of the set, and I could easily see those all getting a showcase theme. Now, I think it could be like spirits maybe, or like something magic-y, but I think there will be a creature type. I mean, in Core Set 2019, we kind of had dragons a little bit. We had elementals in Core Set 2020. So I think Core Set 2021 is definitely going to have a creature type. These are kind of predictable sets. Collector boosters are going to see a major change in focus. What this means, I think that this mostly means, what I'm trying to say is that I think that because it's core sets, they're going to kind of, I hope, this is kind of more just a hope. I want them to change the focus. I'm actually doing a video about that coming up soon. But I just think that they're going to see some major change because it's a core set. The MTG Arena Mastery Pass Avatar will be a new Teferi, which I think is kind of straightforward. But then again, I said it was going to be Vivian in the last one, and it ended up being Luca. A Timey Magic Spark Pet, so it's going to be kind of like Sparky, because Teferi likes to do magic stuff. And a random spells the sleeve. These predictions don't actually end up meaning that much, but I think that we're going to start seeing a lot more just random stuff on sleeves, like the Great Shark from Ikoria. I'm not a huge fan of that sleeve, but they're just taking random cards and throwing them on sleeves, which I'd rather have it be related to the theme of the set, but whatever. One of the Teferis I think will give extra turns, whether it's a Planeswalker deck one that's really overpriced and you're never going to get off, or whether it's a alternate condition, kind of like a Johnny is, where it's like if you have 15 or more life, or 15 more than your starting life total, you can board wipe basically. I think that there'll be a Teferi that either has a high loyalty or has an alternate condition, like, oh, you have 20 or less cards in your deck. So you can use this if you're 20 or less cards in your deck, and you just get an extra turn and sacrifice Teferi or exile Teferi. And I think that will be one of the Teferis. I think there'll be no new mechanics. I think this is kind of straightforward in the fact that it is a core set and we've never really seen new mechanics, although there are going to be an increase in reprints, which is interesting. Also, a lot of the slots are going to be taken by cards that are needing to stay in standard, because Core Set 2021 is the last set before rotation. So it'll be Core Set 2021, and then Zendikar Rising comes after it. And when Zendikar Rising is released, Guilds of Ravnica, Ravnica Allegiance, War of the Spark, and Core Set 2020 are all going to be cycling out of standard. So just keep that in mind. There will also be a theme of casting spells at instant speed. This is kind of similar to my drawing cards style. We've seen this again in a lot of recent sets, and it's Teferi, who is a control planeswalker, so I don't see that not being a thing. Similar to Core Set 2020, Core Set 2021 will feature a creature type as a main theme. Again, yeah, I already said that. There will be at least 2 cards with planeswalker synergy. I think that we're going to see just planeswalkers are taking over the game. And that's really what I want to build on this point, is that because planeswalkers are taking over the game, there's going to be at least a couple cards that interact with them, at least for a limited perspective. At least I hope. I hope that there's not just Teferis and then no way to deal with them. But we'll see. I don't expect Core Set 2021 draft to be that great. Yeah. Limited will be a meh experience. Again, this is just something that is kind of historically known with Core Set 20, or with core sets, with just core sets, and so I think that it'll hold true. No, obviously, it doesn't have to be a boring limited experience, but I believe one of the reasons they gave for going back to core sets was that it was hard making 4 sets a year, which makes me think that these are kind of just thrown together. Yeah, I think the value of MTG Arena, I think that the value, the fact that, I don't know, cut this out. I think due to Jumpstart's theme idea, that being each pack having a theme, and its reliance on Core Set 2021, it would make sense if the mini themes were found throughout Core Set 2021 as well. What I mean by that is, when you buy a pack of Jumpstart, it's not a bunch of random cards. It's a set of cards that are from a pool. So, maybe there's goblins, and there's 5 different sets of goblins, and you're gonna get, and if you got a pack with goblins, which you don't get to know until you open it, you're gonna get one of those 5 packs, and it'll be the same cards that someone else got. And so I think that because there are these things of goblins and Garuk, and maybe not Garuk because it's a planeswalker, and wizards and doctors and whatever, I think, and because they said about half the cards are from Core Set 2021, I think, or maybe not half, but a decent amount are from Core Set 2021, I think that some of these themes from the Jumpstart boosters are going to be found throughout Core Set 2021. So if we find out some information about Jumpstart's themes, we might be able to say, hey, this might end up coming to Core Set 2021. I think that Teferi is... Here's what okay, this next part of the video is dedicated simply to looking at what Teferi is going to do. And so here's everything he has done in the past on Planeswalkers, not on his one random creature card. So for his first ability, or like his pluses, he draws cards, untaps lands, untaps creatures and artifacts, looks at any player's libraries and manipulates the cards, and allows for sorceries to be cast at instant speed. So clearly you're playing this in a blue, like, control deck. For his second ability, which is a smaller minus, puts permanents from the battlefield to their owner's libraries, gains life, draws cards, returns artifacts, creatures, and enchantments to their owner's hands, and untaps permanents. And then for his ultimates, he has emblems with repeated exile, which basically wins the game, emblem with instant speed planeswalker activations, which basically wins the game, and taking extra turns, which can win you the game. And then for passives, we've seen him be able to be your commander, which I don't expect. They don't print that on standard cards. And each opponent can only cast spells at sorcery speed. So I think it'll be a mix of card draw, caring about instant speed, untapping, bouncing, and an ultimate that has an emblem that will end up winning you the game. Honestly, if they took the Chandra approach to this and did a +1 that was an emblem, what would that look like? Like, what could he do as an emblem? Maybe it's the next time an opponent casts a spell, draw a card or two. And it's kind of like, I mean, that's not an emblem, but like I could see that being something they do. Like, cares about when your opponent's casting spells, or maybe making your spells at instant speed cost less. So maybe he has like a +1 that like draws you a card, and then like a -3 that gives you an emblem that says spells you cast during your opponent's turn cost 1 less to cast, which sounds awful. I don't want to deal with that. But I could totally see that happening. I could also see him maybe, I think it could be kind of cool, but also awful, if they made a version of Teferi that had flash, and you could activate his abilities at instant speed, but they were weaker abilities because you could activate them multiple times per turn cycle. So if they did that, I think that would be pretty cool. I mean, it would be very busted. They'd have to be very careful not to put like +1 or -2 counter target spell. But like, I think that could be kind of an interesting idea for a planeswalker that cares all about instant speed, kind of interesting. Let me know what you want Teferi to do. Now, again, I think there are some very obvious predictions. I think Simic is going to be busted. Boros is going to be kind of bad. Just kidding. I mean, Winota was pretty good. But, like, I just think this is going to be kind of similar to all the other sets. There's going to be pushed power level. The main Planeswalker is going to be pushed. So I don't expect this to be Dominaria. I mean, Teferi was kind of the front of that, but he wasn't the only front of this. This is a set literally based around Teferi, which means he's going to be pushed more than he ever has been before, which has me very concerned. Let me know what you guys think about Core Set 2021. Let me know what you think about my predictions, what you think is going to happen, and what you think Teferi is going to look like. If you guys enjoyed this video, please hit that like button, subscribe, and I'll see you guys in the next video. Bye.